I think my favorite rotation was ClinOps. We have 3 of them, so I guess that makes 3 favorite rotations. But then I'm also finishing up on my health system administration rotation, which has been really cool because I got to spend some time with our cabinet members and got to see a little bit of their personalities.
My favorite rotation was definitely working with my residency director, managing and coordinating the COVID vaccination clinics, especially the community equity clinics.
My favorite rotation is heart failure because I got to work with the heart failure NPs and they were really awesome.
My favorite rotation, I would say, actually took me by surprise. It was the neuro ICU. I didn't realize how much I loved all things neuro and all things brain and seizures and strokes and everything like that. And it was a rotation that I wasn't expecting to love, but ended up really loving it, and it was my favorite one.
So since I'm going to ID, I'll not say ID. I have to say hemo. Reason being, it's just I spent all 5 weeks on stem cell transplant. It was just super interesting patients. My preceptors were really engaged. The team was really engaged as well, and I feel like I was taking like next level care. And it's just a good time to be able to just learn about something I had no prior exposure to.
That's tough because in the emergency department, each preceptor has like their own thing that they love. So like, do I want the trauma person, which is probably Jamie, or do I want talks with Angela so I know which poisonous plants not to eat? I think I would probably bring Angela just because she's awesome company. We have the same sense of humor, and like she and I would probably not end up killing each other on the island and would be able to like pick out the stuff that we could like forage without killing ourselves, and it would probably be the best option for me.
Karen Partlow. I feel like Karen is scrappy. I feel like she would just really have my back, you know, in the times when we need each other. And I feel like she'd be totally honest, you know, if things were really sucking that day and we're deserted together. I feel like we could just have a few laughs and make the isolation a little more bearable.
I would probably bring Donna with me because she can think on her feet. I feel like she's pretty scrappy too. She like made a fake arm out of a syringe to like practice medicines in when I was on rotation with her. I feel like she would come in handy if we were rowing, trying to get off the island. Yeah, so I feel like Donna would be a good partner on an island.
Jamie Artel. He can hunt and fish, so I wouldn't starve. He's very outdoorsy, so he could help me with those things. I'm not very outdoorsy. And also he works in the ED, so I feel like he'd be able to handle, you know, issues as they arise on the spot. And then also he's just cool, so he would make the best of it. We would hang out and chat through it and get through it together.
The informatics team.
I think I'll miss connecting with my patients in my Tuesday night evening clinic. A lot of them I've come to form really strong relationships with, and I call them like every 2 to 3 weeks. So.
I would have to say what I would miss the most would be our co-resident group. This year I was really lucky to have both a bunch of great PGY2s and PGY1s to work alongside. So I'm definitely going to miss everybody and just all the good times we had, you know, at work and outside of work throughout the year.
Definitely my co-residents.
Like the red light going around, because I feel like I was constantly going from thing to thing, but it was always fun, but it was always very fast paced, and had a great time.
I would choose the cowboy emoji. It's been a wild ride, but I feel like all of us have been on this adventure together.
The sleeping emoji, because I wish I got more sleep during the year.
Probably the coffee cart, but I would take the coffee and take it to the lobby of the hospital because there's a lot of windows, there's a place to sit, there's some greenery, and I like to people watch sometimes.
I'd have to say the resident office, just because you always knew once you went in there, you would have like your peers and your colleagues there.
If you needed to get something off your chest, you could do it, or if you just needed somebody to listen to you about how your day's going, you always had your co-residents to lean on.
Above the new ED, there's like this little mezzanine area, which is such a delightful little term. But it looks over the ED lobby, but no one can ever see that you're up there. So sometimes you just sit up there with the surgery folks. But it gets full sun during the day. No one sits there. It's these huge glass windows, and you get to see like all of the drama like happening in the ED lobby. So like patients are shouting or something, and you're just up there like drinking your coffee. So it's a really nice place to hide, and people don't know how to get there, which is really nice.
I think a lot of people would probably agree with me that working with Annie is always a good time and usually pretty funny. It's great getting to talk to Annie about kind of the comings and goings of everything going on in the pharmacy world. And you get to kind of get all the inside details on everyone, which I think Annie will more than gladly admit to.
Either Emily Chen or David Bowles.
Oh, Steve Dunn.
So obviously a proud memory was matching at UVA, but since I've been here, I think one of the proudest things for me was finishing my emergency department rotation. I was terrified to request it and like super anxious going in, but just the mentorship and teaching and growth that I had during that rotation, when I finished it, I just felt this sense of accomplishment, and I was really proud to see what I was able to do, even though I didn't think I could do it going into it.
I would say most recently, Zach, Elliott, and I, another ID pharmacist, just got a case report published. I've got to say, the moment when the ladies of the coffee cart learned both my name and my order, I knew I was a regular.
So my most embarrassing memory, and it only happened one time at the very beginning of the year. I was staffing in the IV room during one of my first training shifts, and I asked the janitor if I could tube something. And he said yes.
Probably my most embarrassing memory is, so between the peds satellite and the inpatient pharmacy, the grid on the floor looks like hopscotching grids, like green squares. So I was hopscotching down it, but it was really early in the morning when no one was around. But then Maxine came around the corner and caught me doing it. It was like, what the heck are you doing? And I had to admit that I was hopscotching down the hallway.
Probably either overflowing the toilet in the UMA clinic and having to call Donna and ask her for help, or accidentally pulling the help call button in the toilet at the cardiology clinic.
I had a pretty cool research project this year. So we noticed last year that a lot of our kids required a lot of dose adjustments for enoxaparin, and that we were having to adjust their doses very frequently for kids that were like 2 months to into early infancy. So we found that to be true when we looked at the data and kind of went back and looked at the numbers and what their doses actually should be. So our project is actually going to change the enoxaparin dosing protocol for infants.
Probably one of my admin rotation projects, which was to make a toolkit for ambulatory clinics to start giving out the COVID vaccine, just because it felt like I was being a part of history and helping get the COVID vaccine out there more. And so it felt like I had a really big impact.
I think the most interesting clinical one is the utility of ketamine, probably. We love talking about ketamine down here all the time, but some of us get more up in arms about it than others, probably Derek the most, but just the utilization of ketamine for like RSI or pain meds or conscious sedation, and we will talk about it for hours, or like get like in a fist fight about which is like your favorite RSI med.
I think it has to be whether or not you're a psychopath, if you bite into your string cheese or you actually eat it like string cheese. And I have to say, if you bite into it, if you're in a crunch and your hands aren't the cleanest, it's okay to bite into your string cheese. It's totally fine. Do what you gotta do to get the food into your belly.
One fateful day, I decided to casually get a bottle of Cheerwine, and little did I know that I was gonna go into the ED pharmacy and absolutely be annihilated for my choice of beverage. I think that we did a vote and maybe only Nate was on my side in terms of actually thinking that Cheerwine was drinkable, and everyone else thought that it tasted like candy. So I think that was probably the most controversial thing that I've experienced in the ED.
Take PTO days early. Yeah, take PTO days early, but also try to get to know your preceptors outside of work, because I know that's a little more difficult this year, but I feel like that's just kind of like one of the big things that I've kind of taken away. It's just like, as well, be people who are teaching you and instructing you, but they're also like friends and colleagues that you might be working with for a long time in the future.
I would tell myself that you're gonna make mistakes, you're not gonna know everything, but just be patient with yourself, have faith in yourself, and just learn as much as you can and take advantage of all of the knowledge that the preceptors have.
I would definitely tell myself to slow down and just enjoy the time of being a resident and being with all these cool people that you get to work with, because the time really does pass by really quickly and it's over before you know it.
The year flies by, so I would definitely savor some of the sweeter moments in the year a little bit more, because before you know it, you're here at the Wolf Factory recording your graduation comments.
Definitely the Liberty Barbecue. If anyone has ever or never gotten the brisket with mustard barbecue sauce, highly recommend. The barbecue is actually freakishly good. I can't explain it, you just have to try it. Take my word for it.
Well, my go-to in the cafeteria is usually the sandwiches, because they're pretty inexpensive and pretty fast. But the sushi is actually pretty decent for a hospital too.
I'd probably say the poke bowls. I really liked those. They were pretty good, and their sushi is pretty decent. Charlottesville does not have great sushi, but the cafeteria sushi was actually pretty good for the area.
Easiest thing you can grab and go is the sushi. I think the sushi is always a winner in my book.
The sushi bowls.
The sushi. It's just the best. It's the best item.
My favorite place to visit would definitely be the wineries. It's really hard to pick just one though, but recently one of the ones I've liked going to is Stone Mountain. The views are really awesome up there.
I think my favorite place to visit would probably be Matchbox, just because we have so many good memories of going to happy hour and eating out there, probably more than any other restaurant in Charlottesville, so I think that's my favorite place to visit.
I'd say the Appalachian Mountains. I love being so close to them and being able to go hike with my dog Puddles and my husband.
No, I mean, off and on I went to the gym, but I definitely have some work to do. No.
Daniel and I are gonna go on our honeymoon, so we're really excited about that, and I'm also excited that I'll be able to just be at home and catching up with friends and family.
I would say having a life outside of work, maybe coming up with a hobby, and maybe reading a real book that's not a textbook or primary literature.
Well, my co-residents, of course, but then also my second favorite thing is that whenever Kevin's not there, he lets me use his desk as an extension of my own.
How dark it is?
I think my favorite meme that I posted was the Snoop Dogg meme. If you haven't seen it, go look at it if it's still there.
To be honest, I think I enjoyed the poll questions posted on the residency door the most, with my favorite one being the question about if Jessica was homeschooled or not, which is still up for debate.
So I wasn't there for the creation of this meme, but the dog with the fire around him with the "it's fine" bubble and quotes of things that have happened to all of us, funny situations, that's probably the one that I relate to the most, and it's my favorite.
So I've taken this test actually twice just to ensure that this result is correct, and it is, and I'm a Hufflepuff.
You know, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure the last time I took it, I was actually a Hufflepuff.
I did it a long time ago, but I believe, if I remember correctly, I was a Hufflepuff.
I am unashamedly a Hufflepuff.
So there's some debate here. Per the quiz, I would be in Slytherin or Hufflepuff, which I disagree with. So I have self-categorized as a Ravenclaw.
I've never taken the quiz. If I had to guess, I'm probably a Ravenclaw. Yeah.
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
So when I take the Pottermore test, I get put into Gryffindor. And so, but I've gotten pushback from people that say I'm not in Gryffindor. But what do they know? I took the test, I'm a Gryffindor.
I am Slytherin.
What's your name? Are we upside down?